It was a scorching afternoon when the HOA president decided to visit my ranch unannounced. She stomped across the property, screaming at the top of her lungs, demanding access and issuing ultimatums. Her goal was simple: intimidate me into submission. I watched from the porch as she reached the fence line, pointing wildly. "You will open this gate immediately. I am the HOA president and have authority over this property," she bellowed. I remained calm, knowing exactly how to handle this. Grandpa, my retired sheriff, had been keeping an eye on the situation from the farmhouse. With a nod, he stepped out wearing his full uniform, badge gleaming in the afternoon sun. The presence of law was enough to make her pause, but it wasn't the only measure I had in place. "Step away from the gate," Grandpa said calmly, his voice carrying the weight of decades in law enforcement. "You have no legal authority here. This is private property, and any attempt to force entry will be treated as trespassing." Karen's face contorted in rage. She waved her phone, clearly intending to call the cops. But before she could, I reached for a remote control tucked into my pocket. A low rumble echoed across the driveway as cement poured into the rear of her Tesla, immobilizing it completely. Her eyes widened. You can't do that." "I already did," I said calmly. "Trespassers on my ranch will be stopped, permanently if necessary." She screamed, pounding on the gate and waving her arms. Neighbors who had gathered at a safe distance watched in disbelief as the once authoritative HOA president was rendered powerless by a combination of preparation, law, and a little poetic justice. The cement-filled Tesla wasn't just a prank. It was a calculated deterrent. Any attempt to bypass my private property, intimidate me, or assert illegal authority would now carry visible consequences. Meanwhile, Grandpa stayed close, keeping a watchful eye, ensuring Karen couldn't escalate further. By the time law enforcement arrived, she was flustered and confused. Officers reviewed my property deeds, security footage, and the HOA's lack of jurisdiction. Karen had no legal standing, and her threats were entirely null. The immobilized Tesla served as irrefutable evidence that her aggression had consequences. For additional deterrence, I installed a plaque at the ranch gate: "Private property, unauthorized access will be stopped and prosecuted." Neighbors whispered about the incident for weeks. Karen had gone from fearsome HOA president to laughingstock, her power stripped by a combination of law, preparation, and a little inventive strategy. She tried to argue with the board afterward, but no one backed her. Her credibility had evaporated. The ranch returned to peace. Cattle grazed calmly, the sun reflected off the pond, and I finally enjoyed a quiet evening on the porch. Karen had attempted intimidation, threats, and aggression, but each action had been met with decisive, lawful, and perfectly timed responses. By the end of the day, it was clear: arrogance and entitlement never triumph over preparation, authority, and creative justice. Karen had been humbled, the HOA curtailed, and my property fully secure. I poured a cup of coffee, savoring the satisfaction of knowing the ranch and justice was fully under my control.